Hi, thank you for having me. The subject matter's been a little heavy up till now, so maybe I can lighten the mood a little bit. I really appreciate with all of this going on, you guys taking the time to have me come in and talk about some of the exciting and fun stuff that we've done in the past year in the Future Planning Center, and I'll speak a little bit on some of the things we're planning to continue this year as well. So let me just go ahead and hop right into my presentation. Okay. All right, so typically we do this presentation in June, so it's a little bit late. So like I said, I will try and touch on some things that will be happening this year in continuation from last year. So what happened in the FPC this year, what was the result, and what was new this year? I think those are the important things that you guys like to hear about, so that's what we're gonna touch on. And this first slide here just shows you all of the different types of events that we have through the year. I do have a couple that are starred here that I just wanted to point out to you that were new this year. You'll notice there are a couple different career-specific field trips that we have. In September, there's that STEM Healthcare Career Expo. We had an ABC Builders Construction Expo in October. We also had an entrepreneurship conference in January. And those were really fun field trips. We found out that we are allowed to use the van and do essentially these mini field trips and bring students with us to gain exposure to these different careers. So that has been really fun. With our secretary, Mrs. Inetta, she has learned how to drive the van for us and got cleared. So she's been driving us around and it's been a really fun experience. I think the kids all really have enjoyed it. So we hopefully will be able to continue that once we're back in school and businesses are open and accepting, of course, outside visitors coming into their businesses. We also partnered with Kutztown this year, and they had us come out to their campus. They paid for everything, which was amazing. Thank you, Kutztown, if you're watching. And our students were able to participate in the Instant Decision Day on campus, get a tour of campus, have a couple info sessions, and that was a really fun day. So we hopefully will be able to do that again in the future as soon as they're willing to take guests on campus again. We also added a new Instant Decision Day in January with Bloomsburg. So if you're not familiar with Instant Decision Days, students can come in and meet with an admission rep from the college and get a decision on the spot, which is very exciting. We supply them with their transcripts and SAT scores and everything that they need. They just need to apply ahead of time and they get that decision. So really an exciting and fun day. We continued with the Career Advisory Board meetings, which is an advisory board that is comprised of different local community members, parents, students, business owners. We also have people who work in the district, teachers, who are part of that advisory board. And we just discussed the possibility of doing job shadowing this year. That is on hold because it looks like businesses aren't really bringing in outside people to their businesses right now. But hopefully that's something we'll be able to continue with, and we're brainstorming some other ways that we can have again that career influence with our students. You'll see then that in March, once we went virtual, we did not get to get through all of our Career Month speakers, but we did get through 10 out of our 19 speakers for March. And we had great participation this year, really big groups of students, which is fantastic. And then from there, we did move into a virtual format. So we did a virtual decision day, which I'll talk about in a second. We did AP testing online, which had some challenges, but I think overall was much more successful than I could have predicted. We also had some online or virtual scholarship and honors events in May for our seniors to celebrate that class. And then over the summer, our workshops, I've never had so many students sign up for our workshops. We do them every year in person, and I've never had people complaining that I didn't have enough slots. I actually had to increase the amount of people who were able to attend our workshops to 60 per workshop, just so that we could answer questions for all the students that were attending. And not only did they sign up, but they actually attended the events, which is amazing because in the summer, people go on vacation and it's not always, as important to them. So we were really excited about that. We knew that parents were really concerned about what was happening as far as college campuses taking SAT scores, not taking SAT scores, changing their admission policies, new deadlines, all of that. So we created a new program over the summer called Coffee and College Questions, which was essentially a Zoom question and answer session where we talked about where students should be with parents and answered any questions or concerns that they had. That was overwhelmingly successful. We did not have enough spaces to meet all of the parents' needs. So we will be continuing that once school starts on a regular basis so that we can keep in touch with parents and make sure that they know what's going on and that they don't feel quite as anxious about the process, because everything is still going to go smoothly this year as far as admissions concerned. College campuses are making a lot of adjustments, and we're really excited to help students navigate that and make sure that they're being successful as they go through this year and hopefully get a whole bunch of acceptance letters. Like I said, Decision Day we held online. So we had a great video. We worked with Andrew Rathermel, and he put together a whole bunch of pictures that our students submitted. I have a couple examples up on the screen here, so I don't have to play the video, but I did include the link in case you guys want to check it out later. I just love the pictures that were submitted. You can see here, people went above and beyond. Really fun backgrounds. They brought their whole families together in all their college gear. Some of them had their pets in there with them. And we put it to some great music that I think the students really enjoyed, and some songs that I think the parents really enjoyed too, just to kind of celebrate the moment and try and capture the mood of Decision Day, because we really are excited for the class of 2020. And we're going to share a little bit about what happened with the class of 2020 in a few minutes. I also want to point out we do still organize testing at Springford. So we have a couple different tests, the SATs. The last two of the year were canceled because everything went virtual, and that was not a Springford decision, that was a decision across the board. So we had no control over that. The ACTs in the spring were also canceled, but prior to that, our numbers were about the same as they were last year with students signing up for tests. For the PSATs, again, numbers about the same as they were last year, so nothing surprising there. Our ASVAB numbers went up a little bit, which is great. It's a career aptitude test as well, so we encourage students, whether they're interested in the military or not, to take advantage of that. And then I also want to just highlight our AP numbers here. So 78% of our students this year, even though it was online, scored a 3 or higher, which is really great. We weren't sure how that was going to go with students having fewer questions on the test and being unsure about the format, but our students rose to the challenge and did a great job. We had more students testing, over 800 students, and we had more tests taken, 1450, you can see there's the number. So testing still going smoothly. We are going to be hosting our tests this fall as planned. So we are looking forward to the SATs coming up this Saturday, and we are implementing a lot of safety measures so that both staff and students will be safe on the test day. Smaller classrooms, separate entrances, 4 separate entrances so that students aren't in any big groups, making sure that there's hand sanitizer in rooms and students are wearing masks and staff's wearing masks, all of that. So we're confident that that is going to go very well this weekend, and we're continuing with that test as planned. As far as processing applications are concerned, we're always busy in the Future Planning Center, and so are our teachers. I always like to highlight all of the letters of recommendation that have been written. So you can see on the right-hand side here are teachers who wrote the most letters. And of course, these are teachers who work mostly with juniors and sophomores. And so they have more people asking for letters of recommendation, but also kudos to Mrs. Barnett and all the rest of them on the list who wrote an outstanding number of letters this year. And that does not include our counselors. I think it's unfair to list them because they write the most letters by far every year for their students, because counselor recommendation is required for a lot of schools still. We had students apply to 307 different colleges this year. We sent almost 2,000 transcripts, and that is official transcripts, not unofficial transcripts. A lot of schools have gone with self-reported transcripts, so now we have to also supply unofficial transcripts for the students to process, and that those requests have really dramatically increased in the last year. We've already started that process for this year. We also had almost 2,300 letters of recommendation sent this year, and that does include the counselor number, and that's just fantastic. It just shows all the hard work that's going into helping these students be successful. Oops. So we're going to talk about the class of 2020. Obviously, graduation looked a little bit different this year, but there's some fun pictures there from the ceremony. And we want to touch a little bit on what the post-secondary plans for students were. Now, I will say, since this data has been collected, some students have changed their plans. Instead of going away to a four-year college, they may be doing a semester at the community college since everything is virtual. But the numbers have not been significant enough for us to change them and go and do a new survey. So as reported in June, we had 71% of our students attending four-year colleges, 16% of our students attending two-year colleges, 10% are going straight into employment, and 3% entering into the military. So we haven't seen too much of a change from last year's numbers at all with the secondary plans. And I know that some people are very interested in knowing what types of majors our students are interested in. So again, 39% of our students are going into STEM fields. So the majority of those students are going into engineering or healthcare, healthcare being nursing, physical therapy, pre-med, those types of majors. We also have 18% going into business. Those are definitely the two most popular majors that we see regularly, but you'll also see that undecided is right behind that. So it's okay not to know what you want to major in, and we help coach students through that to find the right college that's going to help them through planning out that career decision while they're in college. I did want to highlight a couple things too about our class. We still had students going the distance, going to a lot of different states, even going out of country, you'll see on there. So it's exciting to see our students really spreading their wings and exploring colleges across our country. You'll notice on the right-hand side there that we have our top 5 listed. It's the exact same top 5 as last year, just in a different order. So Penn State was definitely our top school this year with 62 students attending. And that's across campuses. That's not necessarily just University Park. So they have a little bit of an advantage with having 20 campuses. I also have some highly selective acceptances down there. I couldn't fit all of the highly selective schools on our list this year because we had a lot, and that's a really great thing. I think that a lot of that can be, caused by the fact that we are not supplying the class rank anymore on our transcripts. I know that was a big discussion. I will say I don't have numbers to prove this, but I can tell you anecdotally from working with the students this year that we had more straight out acceptances early in the fall this year to highly selective schools than we have in the past. A lot of times in the past when I reported highly selective acceptances, they were students that had been waitlisted and then were offered admission right before the end of the year where I could add them to the slide. We had a lot of early acceptances to these schools. So that is really a great thing to see. And I hope that we continue with that trend. But yeah, some great schools. We also had a lot of scholarship money awarded. Again, remember this was all self-reported by students. So over $3 million in merit scholarship money that's awarded from the colleges. And then also, if we look at the community scholarships, those are our Springford senior scholarships. And we have the athletic scholarship money listed there. That is not included in that large $3 million total on the screen. So keep that in mind. Our students are doing great that way. All right, a couple things new this year I'll just touch on very quickly. The FPC has gone virtual. I never thought I would have such a YouTube presence, but we are all over the place. So we have had a lot of videos that we've put together to send out for students. We've been doing a lot of virtual meetings with students. I have probably met with more students this summer than I have in summers past because they are Zooming with me while they're on vacation, wherever they may be. They're Zooming with me, from maybe a relative's house that they're staying with over the summer where they wouldn't have had access to me before. So that's actually kind of a nice thing. I've been able to meet with a lot of students. And we've been partnering with RCTV, of course, to be putting together some of our more formal videos that we're sending out to students. But even just taping on Screencast-O-Matic or taping on Zoom and sending them out has been pretty successful. So these are just a couple of the videos that we've put out so far this summer and since the shutdown, but there has been a lot more. So you can see that we've been working hard all summer long. We also have been focusing more on careers this year. So this page is focusing on careers of students. Like I said, we had some of those great field trips. We also have started implementing Smart Futures across the district, which is fantastic software where students are able to start really thinking about careers even as young as being in kindergarten or first grade, all the way up through senior year. And of course, there's different levels within Smart Futures that students are working, but it's great to see students starting to think about careers, because the reason you go to college is so that you can have a career. So we want students to start planning for that earlier on so they can make better and more well-informed decisions once they get to college and jump into that major quicker and have more success in getting those internships and co-ops and getting their foot in the door for the jobs that they want after they graduate. So that's been huge. And part of that is also including our staff. So the Montgomery County Intermediate Unit had a teacher in the workplace program that almost all of our school counselors at the high school level took advantage of. And there was one in human services, construction, manufacturing, and hospitality and tourism. I was personally in the health and human services one, and it's fantastic. They bring you around to all of these different companies in the area that you didn't know existed. You get to meet people and hear about their journey from starting in high school all the way up to where they are now in their career, and just find out, how we should be talking to our students about careers, what's actually out there, and having a realistic perspective on what's happening in the workplace, because it's really easy to just focus on what's happening in school and focus on that college end of things, because that's been our experience. We went to college and then started working in a school. But looking at it from a different perspective and seeing people who maybe took a non-traditional route, or maybe they were able to get employed right away and start being trained right away, and they didn't need to go for that further education in the traditional sense. They were able to do it through their employer. So it's been a really positive experience. I've heard great things back from all of our counselors who have participated. And I think it's really helping to enhance the conversations that we're having with our students at the high school level about what their futures are going to look like, and helping to expose them to a lot of different things. So I'm hoping that that's something we'll be able to continue again with this year eventually, so they will be able to learn about new companies and again help connect students with these different jobs that are in our local community. So that has been a very positive experience. But that is all I have for you tonight. I wasn't sure what you would have time for or what questions you might have, but I'm happy to answer any if you have them.
Well, I'll just comment that rather than, well, I do have a question too, but when I comment, this is always my favorite presentation. I think you know that.
Okay.
Anyway, and thank you for it tonight, because we've had some real difficult decisions, and even back to the budget. It's not that I don't enjoy Mr. Fink's budget presentations, but yours is just so much better. So it's a feel good. Sorry. But I will say this too, your coffee and chat meetings, all the time you've spent over the summer, it's been very well received, and I appreciate you maintaining those connections with all of us and with all of the parents and community and the students. Those workshops, I know they're all signing up for those workshops all the time, so I'm sure you have run out of spots. One question I had was about the highly selective schools. You had a lot of early acceptances this year, and maybe that is because of taking away the rank, you think? Or was it also?
I can't think of any other reason it would be, honestly, because
yeah, because that's the difference, right? That's the real difference.
We probably had, I don't think we had more students applying early decision. I don't think we had more students applying.
That was my next question. Yeah.
I didn't see any real shift in those numbers. What I saw was more positive results earlier in the year.
So like they were just applying early, just regular decision, and they were getting more favorable responses early on. It wasn't even early decision or early action?
Some of them were definitely early decision applicants, but I don't think this year we had more students apply early decision than we have any year in the past. So it's hard for me to say whether or not it was only the kids who applied early decision that had those positive results early. But I did notice that in the fall, we were celebrating a lot more some of these school acceptances than we were in the past. So I was at least happy to see that. I hope it's a trend that continues. I'll continue to report on that and kind of keep an eye on it, because one year can't really show you if it's a trend or not. But for the first year, it felt really good. So
yeah,
I'm happy about that.
That's great. Well, thank you. That's all I have. But thank you.
No problem.